This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to us today. Well, we're talking about New Year's resolutions and goals and what the small changes that will stick with you instead of the big ones that are nearly impossible to get off the ground in half of a month. But before we start on that, I want to just touch on the news with some of my opinions, because I think here in the United States, there is so much going on. I don't know if you're even paying attention to it all, but it's not all good. First of all, yesterday, Verizon had a breakdown with their cell phone services, and it affected more than 1 million people. I'm wondering why my computer is dinging again. Sorry. So I wondered, and I turned the news on this morning, and it just said Verizon hasn't listed anything that is the cause of it or what happened. But 1 million people without cell phone service is really a big deal. People rely on it for all sorts of things, as you know, because you're one of them that use it. If you have an outage like this in your area and you have an emergency, you know that you can go to Wi-Fi on your phone and get in through an emergency section. On the cell phone that I have, the emergency number comes up. Well, I don't have it on right now, but there's an emergency button. And believe me, sometimes it's necessary. I was in such a hurry about 6-8 weeks ago when my husband cracked his head open and he would have bled out without the paramedics coming. And where he fell, I couldn't get to him to stop the bleeding. And I pushed that emergency button on the phone, and they connected me immediately, where they knew my location and everything else. So that's why you don't want your phone to go out. And that's why, for some reason, Verizon hasn't told anybody what happened and why. Anyway, be cognizant of that fact that you can get emergency service on your phone, even if everything is out. So hopefully you won't need it. The other thing I want to talk about is there's a very important meeting going on today between President Trump and Maria Corina Machado, who is the one who was legally named president of Venezuela, but because of illegal votes and ballots and all of these things, that didn't happen. So she says she's capable of running the company, and she wants Trump in the United States to help her and back her and get her in office. So we'll see what happens and what comes of that meeting. Never count out a strong woman. The strong man has done nothing but torture people in Venezuela. Okay, the other thing I want to mention is Minnesota. In 2020, Minneapolis nearly burned down from the George Floyd riots. And I think I spoke to that before, so I'm not going to go over what happened that year. But the same thing is happening and now with people fighting against ICE. There have been 2 shootings of ICE agents who were trying to protect their own life and those of their supporting members of ICE around them. And all that Governor Tim Walz can say is that Trump and his supporters are causing all this. I want you to take a look at that very closely, because some of the things he's saying, including calling President Trump a Nazi, are really instigating things. And if this type of thing doesn't stop, we could be looking at a civil war the way they are trying to divide our country. This is ridiculous. ICE is here to protect us from illegal aliens that have committed terrible crimes. Unfortunately, you can't always tell who is one of the bad people that have illegally immigrated into our country and the good people who have. I think one of the problems is our immigration policies. I supported my housekeeper, not knowing that she wasn't legal. I never thought to ever ask for anybody's papers when I was employing them. Gardeners, housekeepers, seeing them at the car wash. I never thought a thing about it. But that was not when they were letting so many people in illegally during the Biden administration. Every other president has complained about illegal immigration. Not everybody who comes is bringing their family and looking for a better life. They're just looking to create problems in our country. If everybody would step back and calm down and pay attention the correct way, show your papers to ICE, and if you are illegal, you've been given a chance to return to the different countries and get $1,000 and possibly be able to get your papers to come back into our country. Let's not have any more tragic things happening. And you stupid, stupid people that are there protesting with baseball bats and broomsticks and anything you can get your dirty little fingers on, and hurting our ICE people. And then there's a crazy guy that went and broke all the windows. Oh, but he's trans, so I shouldn't call him a guy, I guess. I don't know. All the windows in Vice President Vance's home. Thank goodness they weren't there. They were in Washington, their home in Washington. So there's a lot of crazies out there, and don't get caught up in it because you could be harmed also. Take a step back, and if you know people protesting, tell them that they need to stop and obey. This man who happened to shoot somebody in the leg yesterday, the ICE agent, was attacked by 3 people coming out of a house, and he was attacked by a shovel, and they just kept beating on him. This is not right. You know, the think tank of the Democrat Party, is now trying to say, you know, perhaps you guys are going about this all wrong, and I think they're rethinking who they put up for office. The only Democrat I've seen who really, truly believes in law and order is Senator Fetterman. Well, just think about that, okay? And lastly, I want to say, what the heck is President Clinton and his wife, Hillary, thinking about Epstein? It's a known fact they were there. And Hillary admitted, she said, well, of course we know Epstein, but we don't know everything that he was doing. Oh, okay. Well, what were you doing there? All right, let's get back to happy talk. Happy talk. So you have been working halfway through January. I hope you've been working on the small changes that stick and have you living well one day at a time. Today, I'm going to ask you what you want to do about your resolutions. The big goals often overwhelm us, but the small daily habits that you should be concentrating on help you create lasting results. Purpose does not disappear with age. You know, I'm speaking to women over 50 and men over 50. I'm getting quite a few men to listen to the podcast also. So the purpose of the daily habits and the goals that you're changing do not disappear with age as you grow into your 70s and 80s. Excuse me. They're re-landscaping here and putting all sorts of stuff in the air. Purpose grows stronger. You want to know what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life. And that's why I ask you to write down your goals. Now, some of you may have written 3 goals down, and some may have written 20 goals down. You know, it came out a long time ago, years and years ago, while we were growing up, probably, to write down 3 goals you want to keep. But I say write down as many as you can possibly think. And then as you go through the first month of the year, you kind of go through them and see how you can change them or not. As we're growing older, one thing that helps your goals is all of the experience you've had in your life. And these experience and goals can also help other people. And this gives you another outlet and fun way to discuss life with friends you know or don't know, and what your small changes will be to make your big changes happen. You don't need to fix your whole life with your new goals, but try to do little ones at a time. You just need to live well and work with what does help you. Okay. Okie dokie. How did I miss page 2? Oh, page 2. That was my news. Okay. You should feel relieved, encouraged, and capable after you pare down your goals. In other words, if you've written down things like, number 1, become rich, number 2, lose 20 pounds, goals like that are too hard to achieve and they're gigantic. So what I want you to do is to break them down. Break them down to things that you can handle. In other words, how would you improve your financial status if you want to get rich? And how do you define rich? Do you mean rich financially? Are you retired and you found out that Social Security and your retirement plan are not cutting it for you? Perhaps you should think about doing a side hustle or figuring out how you could cut your expenses. I don't think you want to just sell your house and move, although maybe you might have to if you're not financially set. Or perhaps you just want to downsize anyway, and that's going to help your finances out. to enjoy your retirement. You don't need 5 bedrooms anymore, and a gym, and a ballroom. You need maybe a cozy, smaller house with your spouse, or maybe you're going to be by yourself because someone passed away, or because someone is ill, or because you want to change your entire lifestyle and maybe you want to split up from your spouse, or maybe you've always lived alone and had a bigger house. Barbara Corcoran, you probably watched the Shark Tank, where they're giving money to people who can prove their business plan is legitimate and will be prosperous. Barbara Corcoran was one of the first sharks on there. And I believe I met her years and years ago. I've never asked her that because I don't really know her, but I think I did meet her at someone's home. And she was a go-getter then, and she was just starting her real estate empire. And she just had a breakup with her spouse, boyfriend, I don't know, lover, whatever. And she's decided to live alone. But she didn't get any small place to live in. She's in New York, and she spent a lot of money, and she can certainly afford to do it because she sold her company for bazillions. Yes, that's bazillions with a B. Smart lady. And she bought a beautiful, beautiful apartment in New York. You can see it on Facebook if you follow her. But she planned that. That was her goal or her resolution. Her resolution was to say, I'm a woman. I can be in real estate business in New York. Get over this old boys school thing that they're only allowed to sell. She was the first woman doing it. And besides her resolution to cut through the old boys school, she had a goal to take care of herself and to live a life well lived. So she always took care of her health. She looks divine at her age. And she has no money worries. She learned investing. Her biggest investments have always been in real estate. I don't know what else she's invested in. But, she was investing in companies as she was on the Shark Tank or whatever it's called. So she was investing, always thinking of the future and how she wanted to live. She didn't just, when she was on the Shark Tank, she didn't always just invest in real estate on that. She would see these and listen to these proposals for these other companies. And she would either say, okay, I'll give you so much money to buy your company or invest in your company. And if they didn't like it, then she didn't like it. She'd say no, and I pass. She's a smart cookie. I'm telling you, she has done very well. So if you want to get rich, and that's at the top of your list of goals, you need some resolutions underneath that goal that tells you how you're going to get there. At your age, between 50 and 70 and 80, or what have you, do you have the gumption, the will, the health, the monetary needs to start a new company? Or maybe you just want to be a coach and you want to get on the social media and preach to people. Or maybe you want less of a side hustle and you just want to augment your income that you have now. There's all sorts of ways to do this, but you can't just write down on your goals, become rich. Get those resolutions in there and figure out how to do it. The same goes with something like losing 20 pounds. Okay, you get up in the morning, you go, yep, I'm going to lose the 20 pounds today. What are you going to do? Probably have your cup of coffee. Probably you shouldn't eat that donut. Probably you should eat a healthy breakfast. And then you should get out and take a walk and say, good morning, sun. Thank you, God, for putting me on earth and giving me so many chances in life. And let's be realistic in our words and thoughts. We need to sit down and write those resolutions on every single one of those 20 or so goals that you made, and now they're weighing heavy on you. What do you think you could do to improve your financial status now, besides what we just talked about? Do you think perhaps you should take a class on financial stability and financial just education? You know, there's so many new financial ways to save your money and make money these days in investments. Just think about things like Bitcoin. Remember when Bitcoin came out? You don't hear too much about Bitcoin anymore. It's still there, and I think people are still investing. And then, of course, there's all the other metals and things people make and trade on them, and you can trade things on the internet. My grandsons, for Christmas, we gave them something. You know, they're learning how to save their money with their allowances and what they should do with it and how much they should put aside to buy a new toy if they want one, or how much they should put in a savings account. Yeah. It's a call I should take. I'm sorry. That's a whole nother show about our health system. At any rate, they're learning how to invest their money. We gave them a coin collection for Christmas, amongst a couple other things. So we are teaching them that you not only save money with coins and their face value, like a quarter is a quarter. We're teaching them that some quarters that were minted quite a while ago and have different features on them are actually worth lots of money. Lots of money. I did that once when I was moving, downsizing. I had so many coins and change from just putting them in my great Indian pot that I keep them in. And I decided, I just came across somebody trading, I think it was on eBay, maybe I was doing it. It was fun, but it was also making small amounts of money because unfortunately I didn't have one that had lots of extra value on it. So teach your kids young. If you're still in your 50s and you have kids at home or grandkids, teach them so that they won't be writing down. Juan, are you there? I'm going to have to take this call. Well, I can't. Anyway, I have a question. Why does everything happen at once? Can you tell me that? I have all of these things happening at one time. A little company I'm trying to, well, it's actually a large company I'm trying to get involved in. My podcast, I'm doing a new newsletter. Goodness. I think when you're trying to do some of these goals and resolutions, one of the things you need to do is hire people to help you. And that's where I'm going to tell you about all of the other things that you can do to improve your income, because this is the question I get most of the time. And I just saw my great engineer. Yes, I'm going to end the show early today. I have an emergency. Thank you, Juan, for getting back to me. So just before I close, I want you to remember 4 things. Who can I encourage? What can I appreciate? And how can I live with purpose today? And this is how we really fulfill our goals and resolutions. This is how we create real change. And that's giving us the motive to move forward. Next week, I won't be so spacey. Thank you for joining me. Sorry, I have an emergency. Thank you so much for joining me today.